Mexico, USA, and Canada. On June 13th, 2018, it was announced that Mexico, the USA, and Canada will be joint hosting the 2026 World Cup. Even though there have never been three nations hosting a World Cup before, all three were given automatic qualification for being hosts. South Korea. Asian qualifying involves multiple rounds of qualification, and depending on the round, a team can either qualify automatically, be eliminated, or move on to an additional round in hopes of qualifying for the World Cup. Round 3 is where teams start qualifying, so we'll skip rounds 1 and 2. In round 3, 18 Asian teams are divided into three groups of six. South Korea was put into Group B with Jordan, Iraq, Oman, Kuwait, and Palestine. Despite struggling in some matches, they managed to top the group undefeated, securing an automatic spot to the World Cup in mid-June 2025. South Africa. In Africa, teams are drawn into groups of six, and finishing top guarantees a World Cup spot. South Africa were drawn in Group C with Nigeria, Rwanda, Benin, Lesotho, and Zimbabwe. Despite seeing as second favorite to Nigeria, Nigeria's rough start looked to give South Africa the easy top spot. However, South Africa were given a free point deduction for fielding an eligible player versus Lesotho, forfeiting top spot to Benin before the final match day. Luckily, Benin got bombed by Nigeria, meaning a 3-0 win against Rwanda was enough for South Africa to pip top spot. Czechia. UEFA is similar to Africa. Top your group and you're in. However, Czechia can only finish second in Group L, below Croatia. This put them in Europe's World Cup playoffs, where 16 teams are split into four mini-tournaments of four teams. The winner of each tournament will go to the World Cup. Czechia was put in Path D with Ireland, Denmark, and Macedonia. Despite being seen as one of the weaker teams, luck gave them two home games, where they would beat both Ireland and Denmark on penalties. Checkmate. Switzerland. Switzerland was in Group B against Kosovo, Slovenia, and Sweden. Unlike the Czechs, Switzerland was able to top their group after a 0-0 draw against Kosovo, giving them an automatic World Cup spot. Bosnia. Bosnia and Herzegovina were in Group H with Austria, Romania, Cyprus, and the greatest country in the world. It went down to the final match, but Austria held Bosnia to a 1-1 draw, putting Bosnia in the playoffs. Bosnia was in Path A, with Wales, Northern Ireland, and the shitty San Marino. Bosnia beat Wales on penalties before repeating the trick in a historic night in Sarajevo against four-time World Cup winners Italy. Now, everyone knows the song, I Am From Bosnia, Take Me to America. Qatar. In the third round of Asian qualifying, Qatar were in Group A with Iran, Uzbekistan, UAE, Kyrgyzstan, and North Korea. Despite being two-time reigning Asian Cup champions, they can only squeak fourth, taking them to the fourth round of Asian qualifying, or how I like to call it, the second chance round. In this round, the six teams that finish third and fourth are split into two groups of three, where each team will play each other once. Qatar was in Group A with Oman and the UAE again. Conveniently, all the matches took place in Qatar, giving them home advantage, where they got 4 out of 6 points to get that World Cup spot. Brazil. Brazil has qualified for every World Cup tournament, but this one was a struggle. South America was one table for all the teams. Around halfway, Brazil was at risk of not qualifying despite the expanded tournament, giving South America 6 guaranteed World Cup spots. However, with the arrival of Carlo Ancelotti, Brazil did enough to qualify, albeit in a disappointing fifth-place finish. Morocco. Morocco was put in Group E of African qualifiers with Congo, Niger, Tanzania, Zambia, and Eritrea. This group turned into a bit of a shit show. Eritrea forfeited its spots, canceling all the games against them. Congo was originally banned by FIFA, but was reinstated halfway through, so all the canceled games against Congo up to that point were turned into 3-0 wins for the other team. It didn't matter to Morocco, as they would win all 8 games anyway to become the first African team to qualify for this World Cup. Scotland. Scotland were put into Group C with Denmark, Belarus, and Greece. A 3-2 loss against Greece meant Scotland had to beat Denmark to get top spot. Luckily, a Scott McTominay bicycle kick would kickstart a 4-2 victory for Scotland, giving them what they needed to qualify. Haiti. Haiti were drawn into Group C of North American qualifiers with Costa Rica, Honduras, and Nicaragua. They actually couldn't play any of their home games in Haiti due to unsafe conditions with gangs, so they had to play them in Curacao. After 4 out of 6 matches were played, Haiti sat third with 5 points, 3 points adrift of Honduras, who occupied the automatic World Cup spot. However, 2 wins for Haiti and a complete bottle job for Honduras gave Haiti its first qualification since 1974. Paraguay. Paraguay's campaign was focused on defense and pragmatic football. Out of 18 games, they only scored 14 goals, but conceded only 10, the tied second best along with Argentina. So it was no surprise they would confirm their spot in the World Cup following a 0-0 draw with Ecuador. Australia. Australia was put in Group C of third round Asian qualifying with Japan, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, China, and Indonesia. A difficult group in hindsight, and it quickly became a race between Saudi Arabia and Australia for that second automatic spot. They played each other on the final day, where Australia managed to beat Saudi Arabia away from home to clinch second. Turkey. Turkey were in Group E with Spain, Georgia, and Bulgaria. This group stick to the script, and Turkey comfortably finished in a playoff spot where they were put in Path C with Romania, Slovakia, and Kosovo. Turkey would beat Romania and Kosovo 1-0 to qualify. Germany. Germany was in Group A with Slovakia, Northern Ireland, and Luxembourg. It didn't go well at first as they lost 2-0 to Slovakia. Luckily, this is a group with Slovakia, Northern Ireland, and Luxembourg, so they won every other game to top the group. Ecuador. Ecuador are basically a more efficient Paraguay. They were initially given a 3-point deduction for fielding an eligible player during the 2022 qualifiers. Still, they went on to concede only 5 goals in 18 games to finish second in South American qualifiers. Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast were in Group F with Gabon, Gambia, Kenya, Seychelles, and Burundi. Despite not conceding during the entire qualification, it still went down to the wire thanks to a stubborn Gabon, but a 1-0 win for the Elephants secured qualification. Curacao. Curacao also played their home games at Curacao, but this time it made sense. They were in Group B with Jamaica, Bermuda, and Trinidad and Tobago. Despite Jamaica being favorites, Jamaica do what they do best and failed to meet expectations. In the crucial match, Jamaica couldn't find a goal as a 0-0 draw between the two teams gave Curacao the point they needed to qualify. Netherlands. Holland were in Group G with Malta, Poland, Finland, and Lithuania. It was pretty smooth sailing as they finished top undefeated. Japan. Japan became the first nation besides the hosts to qualify for the World Cup as they destroyed the Asian Group C with just 1 loss and 23 out of 30 points. Tunisia. Tunisia were in Group F with Namibia, Liberia, Malawi, Sao Tome, and Equatorial Guinea. They topped the group without conceding a single goal. Don't think that's going to happen in the actual World Cup. Sweden. Sweden qualified through absolute bullshit, and that's my unbiased opinion. They were in the same group as Switzerland and finished last without a single win in 6 matches. However, 4 of the 16 playoff spots were given to the highest Nations League winners, which is a separate European competition that involves tiers where nations will play in small groups to go up and down the tiers. Sweden finished in first in a League C group, meaning they're one of the 4 best group winners that didn't finish first or second in the qualifying groups, giving them a playoff spot despite not winning a single game in their qualifying group. They were put in Path B with Poland, Ukraine, and Albania. New manager Graham Potter managed to get them to click at the right time as they beat Ukraine 3-1 away before narrowly beating Poland 3-2 to qualify in one of the most bizarre campaigns any nation can have. Belgium. Belgium were drawn into Group J with Wales, Macedonia, Kazakhstan, and Liechtenstein. Despite a few dull draws, Belgium qualified easily with a game to spare. Iran. Iran were put in Group A of Asian qualifying, the same as Qatar, but unlike the Qatari, Iran were able to grab one of the 2 automatic spots as they finished top in dominating fashion. Despite the news that Iran might be banned from the World Cup, Iran is set to participate, although they moved their training camp to Mexico in light of recent tensions. Egypt. Egypt were in Group A of African qualifying with Burkina Faso, Sierra Leone, Djibouti, Ethiopia, and Guinea-Bissau. They qualified early as they finished top of the group with a few games to spare. New Zealand. New Zealand qualified as the sole Oceania team. After the second round of Oceania qualifying, the four teams that finished first and second in groups A and B were placed in a bracket where the winner will qualify for the World Cup. As the big fish in a small pond, it was no surprise that New Zealand easily breezed through, scoring 10 goals and conceding 0. Spain. Spain was in the same UEFA group as Turkey, Georgia, and Belarus. The reigning Euros champions comfortably finished first, getting the group's World Cup spot. Uruguay. Under legendary manager Marcelo Bielsa, Uruguay finished fourth in South American qualifiers, which is probably deserved considering they had the fourth best defense and the fourth best attack. Cape Verde. Cape Verde was the surprise African team during qualifying. They were drawn into Group D with Cameroon, Libya, Eswatini, Angola, and Mauritius. Cameroon were the favorites, but a great run from Cape Verde, including a 1-0 win against Cameroon, allowed Cape Verde to qualify for the first time after a last match 3-0 win against Eswatini. Saudi Arabia. You can just copy the Qatar segment for Saudi Arabia. They finished third in a tough Group C and were put in round 4's Group B with Iraq and Indonesia. They also had home advantage, and it will come down to goals scored as Iraq and Saudi Arabia tied on points and goal difference. Saudi scored more, so they got the ticket. France. France were drawn into Group D of UEFA qualifying with Ukraine, Iceland, and Azerbaijan. They finished top. Nothing much else to say. Norway. Norway were drawn into Group I with Italy, Israel, Estonia, and Moldova. Seen as outsiders to Italy, the golden generation of Norway, with players like Haaland and Odegaard, clicked at the right moment. To everyone's surprise, they became one of the best performers in European qualifying, as they won all 8 games, with results such as 4-1 and 3-0 versus Italy, and an 11-1 win versus Moldova. Senegal. Senegal was in Group B with DR Congo, Togo, Mauritania, and the two Sudans. They finished on top thanks to a crucial comeback against DR Congo, and since they haven't walked off the pitch in any of those games, CAF couldn't reverse the decision. Iraq. Iraq were in the South Korea group, where they finished third. Then, they were put into Saudi Arabia's fourth round group, where they finished second. This put them in Asia's fifth round, aka the second chance round. Here, they faced the UAE, who finished second in the Group A in a playoff match to qualify for the Intercontinental Playoffs. That's right, a playoff for a playoff. Iraq beat the UAE 3-2 on aggregate. In the Intercontinental Playoffs, they were given a bye to the final round thanks to their FIFA ranking. It came down to them and Bolivia, where Iraq won 2-1. Argentina. Argentina are reigning World Cup champions, so it was no surprise that they dominated South America, finishing first by 9 points, scoring the most goals. Algeria. Algeria will play in Group G with Uganda, Mozambique, Guinea, Botswana, and Somalia. Algeria qualified with no sweat, finishing first by 7 points. Jordan. This is Jordan's first World Cup appearance. Jordan was in Group B of second round qualifying. Most people would overlook Jordan, but a final appearance in the Asian Cup put them on the map. They kept that momentum as they squeezed into the second automatic spot. Austria. Austria was in Group H of UEFA qualifying with Bosnia. It came down to that final match. Bosnia scored first, but a goal for Austria ended the game in a 1-1 draw, securing top spot for Austria. Portugal. Portugal was in Group F with Ireland, Hungary, and Armenia. Under Cristiano Ronaldo, who was licking his lips seeing nations ranked over 30, were able to easily top the group. Colombia. Colombia wasn't able to qualify for the 2022 World Cup due to a lack of goals, but they weren't able to make the same mistake twice. They finished third in qualifying, scoring the second most goals. DR Congo. DR Congo finished second in Senegal's qualifying group. However, the 4 best second place teams in Africa are put into a bracket where the winners qualify for the Intercontinental Playoffs. That's right, a playoff for a playoff. DR Congo beat Cameroon before winning on penalties versus Nigeria. In the next playoffs, the R Congo just needed to beat Jamaica, which they did in extra time. Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan have been the nearly man in Asia for a while. They were in the same group as Iraq and Qatar. Under a new generation of talent, the Uzbeks took second in qualifying to qualify for the first time. England. England were the first European nation to qualify for the World Cup. They were in Group K with Serbia, Albania, Latvia, and Andorra. 22 goals, 0 conceded, 8 wins, easy eats. Croatia. Croatia were in Group L, the same as Czechia. The team won every game except a draw against Czechia to easily grab the group's qualifying spot. Ghana. Ghana were in Group I with Madagascar, Mali, the Central African Republic, Comoros, and Chad. Despite not being able to qualify for this year's AFCON, Ghana made easy work of this group to qualify. Panama. Finally, the last team. Panama was in Group A with Suriname, El Salvador, and Guatemala. They were the favorites, but ended up struggling. The only reason they got first spot was that rival Suriname couldn't beat and eliminated Guatemala, allowing Panama's win against El Salvador to take first place.